All right, well, welcome everybody. Looks like we're starting with a small crowd. Hopefully, folks coming in are able to find it and come in. We'll just kick things off and they can come in at their leisure. I'm Ken Crooker. Welcome on behalf of the St. Louis Pen Show to the kickoff event for the pen show that wasn't Virtual Maker Faire. And with all the pen shows being canceled, we thought it would be nice to kind of try and keep the spirit of the shows alive and, help our makers sell some pens and get some exposure because it's pretty quiet out there these days. So, we put out an invitation and, as you can see, we had several of our independent pen makers and KWZ Ink jump in and make some great stuff for us. So tonight, I just wanted to kind of introduce everybody to the different makers and kind of let everyone talk about their pens and the story behind them, whatever you want to share with the crowd. So I'm just going to turn things over. We probably have about 30 minutes from now before WebEx cuts us off because they just enforced their time limit today. So Greg, I'm going to start with you because you were the first one in tonight. So
all right,
the floor is
yours.
Hello
everybody, anybody who's there. Did you get my mute, Ken? Yes, you did.
Yes, you're on.
All right. My name is Greg Hardy, and I own and operate Hardy Penwrights, and we make all artisan style custom pens. That is, we make everything in house except the nib and the converter. The pen that we decided to offer for this show. Because it needed to be purple, I had just worked with a Ghost Koi blank by Jonathan Brooks and had fallen in love with it. And so this pen is built on a 13 millimeter cap thread size. So for those of you that are concerned about section size, that means the section's about 11.75 millimeters at the base, down to about 10.75, just under 11 at the narrowest point. What we did is we built the pen primarily out of Jonathan's Ghost Koi, and maybe Ken, if you wouldn't mind throwing a picture up, I would appreciate it. Just maybe the first one, whatever you can find. What we ended up doing then, I reached out to Jonathan, who did a custom pour for me. And if you're not familiar with the Ghost Koi, it is opaque purple, opaque white, and then it has an iridescent blue purple running through it that's translucent, and it's really cool. So I reached out to Jonathan, and he did a custom pour on for the trim of this pen, the trim and the section, which are from that translucent iridescent color. So it made for a neat match. This pen features a handmade clip. We make the clips in-house here. This one happens to be nickel, and it's got kind of a diagonal texture to it, which is one we don't use. As I said, the pen, I think overall is 142 millimeters long. It's about 135 uncapped, and it weighs about 22 grams. And it's a sharp-looking pen. The pen will come with our regular shipping package, which includes information and a notebook and whatever stickers I'm throwing in boxes that week. And it will also come with the special purple ink that we're all sending with our pens. And Sticker Mule happened to be running a deal. So there's this incredibly groovy die cut Holocaust. I've been watching a movie this afternoon, holographic sticker that it was impossible to photograph that. It's shiny silver, but it's kind of Ken's logo with a slight tweak to it. If you look right in the center under the arch, there's Greg's logo. But that's all good to go at this point. I think there are only 4 left. We did a limited run of 10 plus the prototype. And so there were 11 pens available, and I think I've got 4 left. So if anybody's interested, be sure to reach out to me. If anybody has questions about the pen, If you don't get a chance to ask tonight in person, the easiest thing to do is go to my website, hit the contact us, and it sends me an email, and I respond very quickly. So, if somebody's interested, hey, there's Hines. How you doing, buddy? Jim Hines. Jim and I use the same barber, by the way. At this point, yeah, again, if you have questions, give me a shout. And otherwise, thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of the makers. Thanks, Ken.
All right, thanks, Greg. And I think I just killed my own video there by accident. All right.
There you are.
There I am. All right, so I know, Jason, you're feeling a little under the weather, so I'll go ahead and flip to you next.
Hey, everybody. My name's Jason. I've been making pens for a few years. This marks over 5 now, and nothing but custom, artisan made. Gonna sound a lot like Greg on some terms, so I'm just gonna focus on the pen that, like the show, doesn't exist. I wanted to try and do something that was a little bit outside the box and really kind of focus on St. Louis. So the body is actually going at the tail, going to be sculpted and reduced in size to reflect the arc and the shape of the gateway arch. And since we make all of our clips, by hand, mimicking that same shape in the nickel clip as well. This is going to be our first run with engraved nibs, so kind of excited about that. And the pictures Ken are the rods that no longer are rods, but I pour them. They're made here by me and my daughter. Lots of purple, a little bit of that liquid silver. I really like that stuff. Went through a few renditions, just kind of trying to find that mix of toning down the silver to the purple. And last thing, put a little thought into, is each pen is going to be engraved with the number. There's 12 pieces. And we have our certificates that tell the kind of capture the moment in time, and they are numbered as well. Here are some progress shots, and as Kenny alluded, I've had an unexpected health event, and I should be back to work Monday. If you have any questions, I would honestly love to talk to you. We've sold a handful of the 12. Best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook, as our website is broke. Yes, that's horrible, but that's about to change in a big way. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out. Be happy to talk to you. Thanks, Ken.
Cool, thanks, Jason. All right, Dale, how about Dale? Got you.
Well, all right. Well, first of all, Ken, thank you for having me. I appreciate all that. And I know that you put a lot of time and effort into this, so thank you for that.
You bet.
So my pens, again, like Jason and Greg, they're all hand poured. We make our own blank. We use a combination of different materials. It depends on the pen that we're working with, but for the most part, this here is a resin pen. And we're using 3 different colored pours. I myself have always loved purple, and anybody that has been at shows, and I've been doing shows and making pens since, I've been making pens since 2009, and actually doing shows now since about 2011, 2012. In my displays, all of my displays have purple and black, and so that is always been my corporate colors. So when I come out with this particular pen, it actually fit the theme with what Ken wanted to do with the purple ink. So this has already been material that I've used before and made and have offered before this event. I love the material. Again, I love purple. I use the same nibs filling system as everybody else's. Probably it is the Yogo number 6 nib, and I use a polished nib, polished steel nib, and I do have gold and 18 karat options if somebody's interested. And then what we're doing, we're offering I don't know if you guys can see it. I'll try to hold this up for you guys, but I'm offering solid 925 sterling silver OM roll stops. We have those made by Isaac Hanush of Solari and Company. They are out of Sterling Heights, Michigan, in Shelby Township. And he actually casts them and polishes them, and he's the one that actually makes those roll stops for us here at Opus Mechan. Standard international converter, just like everybody else is using, so it's a very common filling system. You'll get a purple drawstring pouch. I love the drawstring pouches. I used to do these with boxes, but I found over the years people tend to throw the boxes away, so I've been doing the drawstring pouches strictly out of necessity, with whether it's a person throwing it in their briefcase, it helps to stop the barrels from getting scratched. We've got one left currently on the website, and we have several more in process, and if somebody is interested in them, just let me know, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thanks, Ken.
Awesome. Thanks, Dale. Okay. How about Mr. Hinze and Mr. Lopez? I'll turn off both you guys. Mute there, so you're both live.
Well, let's see how the audio holds up. My computer's acting a little weird. I'm Jim Hinze. Next to me is Elyce Longazelle, and we have Francisco Lopez. We have a team approach. Elyce actually poured the blank. So we the color swatches. We originally opted to do 12 pens, and we put them up for pre-sale, and they disappeared in like 15 hours. So we called Ken and asked if we could get another 12 bottles and extend it. So there are 24, and as of last night, they were all gone, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
We opted for a minimalistic design. It's one of the smaller pens that I make. It's based off the papier plume that we did when they released that ink. The other unique thing is we paired it with our colored nibs. One of the things that we've done for the last 4 years is offered purple, blue, turquoise, red, black,
green,
variety of color, green, which is plated. We're now doing them in-house. We've been doing them in-house since the beginning of the year. The pen's, much like Greg's, it's 137.5 millimeters long, 14.25 millimeter on the body, and just about 15 on the cap. It does post nice and deep and secure. And we offered it up with purple and turquoise. As you can see, there's a tiny bit of turquoise and pink. So they'll come boxed up with our standard aluminum box, but we're going to do a special engraving, which will include the pen number. And then, much like everybody else, although unlike Greg, I have the cool holographic stickers. We do have some cool die cut stickers from stickers. That's about it, really. Questions, comments, insults, you can hit us on the website.
Awesome. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. Everyone's muted. Okay, and Chris Stevens, I got you. Chris is doing a couple really different things, so this will be Pretty interesting.
Thanks, Ken. And I also want to thank you for all the work you put into organizing this, and thank the St. Louis Show Committee for making this happen. So I'm the U.S. representative of Grifos Pens of Italy, and I collaborate in the designs of the pens. Our specialty is working in solid sterling silver. So all of our silver work is solid 925 silver. And then guilloche engraving on a line engraver that belonged to Parker in the 1930s. And so we're still doing it all by hand. I'll go ahead and show you the options that we're making available. These are each done in limited edition. And I'll show you some photos. So in addition to doing the guilloche work, we do a variety of exotic materials that we combine with the guilloche engraving. So this is the first of the three options that are available. It's done in ostrich hide, which, as you can see, has been dyed to purple. The section and cap are solid sterling, hand engraved. We also do engraving all the way down into the nibs. Our logo's engraved onto the nib. We're having some fun with the various engraving stuff. So these pens are available at no extra charge with St. Louis Pen Show engraving. So you can either get it as a standard with the Grifos logo, or you can get it engraved with detail that is specific to the show. So this is the ostrich version. The barrel is coated with the ostrich hide. All of our leather work, by the way, all of our leathers are sourced from food production industry. And so they're all being upcycled. It's material that would have been thrown away. The second of the options, let me hold that for third. The second of the options is also done with leather. It's done with snakeskin. And so you can see the detail on the hide that we're in a nice purple tone for the hide, inspired by the ink, obviously. That covers the cap. The rest of the pen is done, the barrel and section are done in solid sterling with a guilloche, really traditional guilloche pattern. It's a barleycorn pattern. And you might be able to see, and I can show you detail on this, but if you look at the clip, it says 2020, the pen show that wasn't. And that's an option, as well as you can sort of get a glimpse of it here, but I'll show you more detail. The cap ring is done in the St. Louis skyline. And so you see the level of detail. This is the old courthouse in St. Louis. So we're all the way down to the column and window level. These are accurate representations of the various buildings in the St. Louis skyline. And so that's your cap if you choose your cap ring, if you choose the engraving option, and it comes at no extra charge. So the idea is we wanted to do it as a special run for the 2020 pen show. So if you want it to be labeled the pen show that wasn't, you have it. The third option is a more modern choice. We've been experimenting with other materials. And this actual picture is a prototype that I did, and then I actually sold it at the Colorado show last year. This pen is based on a model we've done that it uses the divine proportion to mathematically create the guilloche engraving, which is again done by hand, but it creates the twist pattern. It's reminiscent, the same pattern is used by Visconti in the Divina model. And we're using a nanoceramic coating. Nanoceramics have been used in the auto industry. It was developed for the aerospace industry. It's super hard, but we're using a supplier that actually coats the pens for us, that the material is still sheer enough that you can see the silver through it. And so it remains a bit transparent, so you can see all the silver work, but it's super hard. So the hardness of the ceramic serves as protection against any damage or scratching to the pen. So this ring on the left of this image is the actual color that this pen is going to come in. I'm still waiting for the first batch to come. Strangely enough, today we just announced this product, and 2 of these sold today. So obviously there's some enthusiasm, so we're happy about that. So those are the 3 pens, and they're all available on the website. And I'm happy also to be here and to answer any questions anyone might have. Oh, the nibs, by the way, we source our nibs from Bach. And then we do all the engraving on them in-house. It comes standard with a steel nib, but then we've got 18 karat available if people want that as an upgrade.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
And before I turn it over to Q&A, I just want to make a mention to the makers that weren't able to make it tonight. We had Dan Kobler from Provincial Mills and Hugh and Carol Scher from Kanilea Pen Company, and of course Konrad and Agnieszka Jarowski from KWZ Ink, KWZ Ink, who for the third year in a row have really killed it on our ink color, and it's pretty beautiful ink. So they weren't able to join us tonight, but I wanted to make sure to mention them, and you can check out all the pens and inks that they made on the site. So from there, I'm just going to go ahead and open up Q&A. It looks like we've got about probably 13-ish minutes before WebEx kicks us out. So if you've got questions for any of the makers, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. And you can do that if you have the participants list open. You'll have a little red microphone symbol by your name. You can click that to toggle mute, or if you're in the app, I think you just point your cursor over into the middle part of the screen and you'll get a series of icons along the bottom, and there's a little microphone icon there, so you can turn it off there. So I'm just going to open up the floor for any of our visitors who'd like to ask questions.
Hey, this is Shanawaz Goldman. I was just, so due to some financial situations right now, because I just got approved to get a house and I have my first child on the way. So I don't really have the disposable income to get a new pen. Is there a way to get the ink site itself?
I'm not sure I caught the question. You were kind of cutting in and out a little.
His question was about the availability of the ink by itself.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We may have some left at the end, and if we do, we're going to be putting it up on the site. We'll probably do like an auction, because I think demand is going to be far exceed the supply that's available. So we're just going to like open up a window. So like, I won't name names, but certain pen companies will have events and they'll release everything at once, and then it's like, a feeding frenzy of people in there trying to grab stuff. So I don't, I want to avoid that. So I'll probably open it up for like 3, 4, 5 days for people to put their name in, and then we'll have to do like a lottery drawing to see, who gets an opportunity to buy it.
All right. Thank you, Ken.
Sure.
So you mean a raffle? You said auction. You mean raffle?
Not an auction. Yeah, like a lottery. Like a lottery.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of like, if you go to buy concert tickets and there's 1,000 people in line and they only got 100 tickets, everybody gets a wristband and then they'll draw random numbers, that kind of thing.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome. Anyone else have a question? Or a comment or a complaint? I don't really want to hear complaints. Complaints are out. Pretend I didn't say that.
Oh, complaints. Ooh, pick me. I just want to tell you. I know. I just want to thank Ken for inviting me to this, but not inviting my wife, because if she discovers that there's a mute button on me, my life will be bad.
Nice.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
I have a question, Ken.
Sure.
Okay, so my question is, I hope this isn't an awkward question for you, but how did you decide which makers to connect with, and how long ago did you start working on this? Like, when did you connect with them, and how did this process happen?
Well, this is a little bit of a story. So when we were still planning the show back before the cancellation, Jason Olson had reached out to me asking me, what color of the ink that we were doing, because he wanted to make a pen that matched. And Mike, who's on the line here, was having a separate conversation with Jim about a similar thing, making a pen that was going to match the ink, selling it at the show and whatever. And we ended up, obviously because of COVID, having to cancel the show, and the board met and unanimously voted that, we just couldn't chance it. So we canceled that, but we were kind of talking in the background about, it would be cool to go forward with some of this stuff. And so we asked Jason and Jim, hey, you want to go forward with it anyway? Make the pens. We'll have Queasy still make the ink. And everybody was on board with it. They all thought it was a great idea. And I figured, we should probably open it up to everybody who had tables at the show. So back in early April, I sent out an email to all of the independent pen makers that had tables at the St. Louis Pen Show this year, and extended the invitation to them. And we ended up with, 7 out of the 15, I think, were total. So, and we started, we started planning. We moved forward with the ink, and that was kind of the long pole in the tent, as they say in the military there. We didn't know how long it was going to take to get here, given that shipping from Europe is kind of dicey. So everything was kind of like on hold. We had everything planned out, but we had to wait for the ink to come in. And I'm glad we did, because it sat in customs for about 2 weeks. And they almost sent it back to Poland because they just couldn't get their act together. They needed paperwork. and got all the paperwork in. Ann is the main director of the pen show. And she got the paperwork to him, but then they couldn't, the people holding the ink and the people with the paperwork couldn't get together. So it almost went back and, killed everything. But we ended up getting it, and that's when everything kind of started rushing forward. And that was, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, maybe?
Okay, great. Thanks. It's a good story. And how do you who picks the color every year? Does KWZ, you pick it?
That's me. I actually designed the first two, the teal and the orange. I was trying to come up with a happy, bright purple that's easy to read, but just couldn't with the samples that I had to mix. I usually just give them the mixing recipe and then they make it from there. So I just asked them I said, can you just do a really happy purple that's dark enough to read, but still, bright, cheery. So they came up with the purple. It came out really nice.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It does look nice. Thank you for choosing purple. Sure. It's a great color.
All right, we've got about 5 minutes left. What other questions are out there?
I think if anybody has questions about the process of making pens or anything that would apply to any of us who are here, we're open. It doesn't even have to be about the specific pen itself, because you might learn something that applies to this pen but might go more broadly.
Yeah, that actually do have a question on that nature. Like, you guys were saying that you have like a pouring, like a poured pens. Like, what exactly do you mean by that? I guess
He was asking about pouring the acrylic. What's involved in that?
Well, we all have our favorite resin. It starts out as multi-part liquids, and you work with pigments and dyes to come up with the color you like, and you actually cast or pour it into a mold. I just refer to it as pouring. Casting is another good word that goes into that process, and we went through three samples to get the mix I liked that wasn't too silver, too purple. Not real complicated once you get into it. So that's what pouring is about. It's the actual mixing of the resins into a mold.
Thank you.
I will tell you, the people that know how to do it, they make it look so easy. You can ask Jim. Jim's good at it, but Elyce came in. She looked at it for like 2 minutes, and I will be honest, she's a lot better than he is.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can see, but I have an example of just a raw rod. I think my video's way behind.
Yeah.
Elyce is barely getting up in your video, at least on my end.
Okay. So you can see it?
She's reaching for it, almost there.
Yeah, that was about 30 seconds ago.
This is always.
It's time for a new computer.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Maybe.
Wow. Time for a new computer.
There we are.
There we are.
Are you?
All right. So that's just an example of a raw rod.
Is that one of yours, or is that a diamond cast?
That's a diamond. It's a Mackenzie diamond cast. It's what I happen to have on the shelf behind me.
Cool.
Wow, was my video messed up?
Yeah, you were gone. We had no idea what you said. He probably meant to say was his rods look the same except they're not shiny like Mackenzie's diamond cast. But in all honesty, I mean, I think Elyce just killed it with the rod she did for this one. It was, I don't know, her talent when it comes to pouring has just been, she stepped in and took over, and I think we're going to let her keep on pouring for Hinze as a whole.
Awesome. All right, looks like we've got probably time for one more quick question, if anyone's got one.
Hey, Ken.
Hey.
So my question is, are we going to do this again next year?
Oh my God, this one's not even over yet. We'll see. You might have to come up with some kind of idea that'll go along with an actual physical pen show. So,
really quickly before WebEx kicks us off, I think I can speak on behalf of all the makers and say, please feel free to reach out to us through our websites, through the links on the St. Louis site, because I know we all enjoy engaging with you guys as customers. So if you have questions about anything related to what we do, feel free to reach out to us. We love that.
awesome. Thanks, Chris. Good.
And even if it doesn't have to do with like this pen in particular, if you have a pen in mind and you like one of our works, reach out to us. And I mean, that's the whole point of having a custom maker is A to Z, you tell us what you want, and 9 out of 10 we'll be able to whip it up for you.
Absolutely.
Great. All righty. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Hopefully this recorded, and I'll have this up for everyone to view at some point, hopefully in the near term. So thank you everybody very much, and have a great night, and check out the pens.
Thank you all for attending.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
You're very welcome.